Naruto opened a pet shop in the ninja world. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 201. Because of what Qing said, Qing's expression went blank for a moment. Qing has been paying attention to Qing's expression. Could it be disgust? Because he shared his secret and his brows furrowed together. You were only 5 years old at that time. How did you die? Qing was stunned for a moment. You don't feel disgusted? Shouldn't you try every possible way to destroy me? Why? Do you have such an idea? Qing widened his eyes. So you have been hiding all the time, but you actually want to live, right? I don't know. The boy's face showed confusion. His eyes were diffuse and unfocused. It's better to say that I am actually you now, because what I know and understand now, my cognition and understanding of the world are all influenced by you. So when he appears, he will subconsciously act like Qing, just like that when he was taking care of Naruto 3 years ago, and just like that now. However, Naruto and Uchiha recognized him at a glance, including how he subconsciously hid himself and quietly watched what he would look like when he grew up. And watching the souls from another world who used his body to leave traces in this world. Looking at the familiar yet unfamiliar Konoha, he really wanted to take another look and also wanted to go out and take a look. But he didn't understand whether this was influenced by Qing at the age of 5. The 5 years old did not leave any trace on anyone. I'm actually the fake one. He laughed at himself. After my parents died when I was 5, I refused to let anyone get close to me. I lived on the support of 3 generations of adults, and the things my parents left behind, Minato-san, is very busy, but he still makes time to come visit me. I just never let him into that room every time. I died when my bloodline limit was awakened. Without my father to guide me, my spirit couldn't bear it and collapsed. I guess you just happened to come at that time. The young man briefly mentioned that experience. But I was only 5 years old at that time. How desperate I must have been. Qing hugged the person next to him and choked up. You are you. There is no such thing as an imposter. It was me who stole your identity and enjoyed the feeling of having a family. Qing shook his head. If it were me, I wouldn't be able to do what you do. I don't know how to get along with brother Minato and his sister-in-law, and I can't do what you do to take care of Naruto without hesitation. Because you are really good. The most important thing is, you also found an important person, right? Said the young man from the Uchiha family. Qing knew that even if she gave him back his identity, he would never accept it. After thinking for a while, she grabbed his shoulders and looked at him seriously. If you want to survive, I will find a way for you to go out independently. Before that, if you want to go out and travel, go ahead. When your chakra is exhausted, come back and I will replenish it for you. I have many enemies outside, but you don't have to be afraid. Even if you are attacked, you can still come back. So you can do whatever you want. Qing didn't say anything, just stared at him blankly. After the 2 identical people looked at each other for a long time, they couldn't help but smile when they thought of the current scene. I'm embarrassed if you don't say anything. Qing scratched his head helplessly. I'm speaking from the heart. I really mean what I said. You don't have to do this to me because you feel guilty. After a long stalemate, Qing sighed. It's not necessary to make a decision now. There's still a lot of time. If you change your mind or have any ideas, you can discuss it with me. Otherwise Minato would blame himself. He would definitely blame himself for not taking good care of him. Goodbye. I wrote a weird chapter. Please don't criticize me. I just wanted to write about the fate of the main body. This chapter is longer. I will update it tomorrow, Saturday. Chapter 202. After the clone dissipated, Qing sighed. I removed the barrier of the room and noticed the black hair outside the window. Qing walked over and saw Itachi squatting on the eaves outside the window. When he saw him coming, he raised his head and looked at him. Qing was stunned for a moment, then his eyebrows moved, he closed his eyes, leaned down, and left as soon as he touched her on his forehead. When he met Qing's smiling eyes, his heart relaxed. It seems to have been resolved. I'm hungry, he said. Okay. Qing replied with one word. He stretched out his hand, and Itachi consciously put his hand on it, using it as leverage to walk directly into the room, and the lunchboxes he gives to Naruto are all insulated. While Qing was heating up the food, Itachi quickly went into the bathroom to wash off the dust on his body and changed into clean clothes. While Itachi was eating, Qing just sat in front of him and watched him eat. Qing felt healed when he saw the beautiful boy eating the food he made himself. Visual and psychological healing. Itachi had obviously gotten used to him being like this chewing, and the same goes for the touching of bowls and chopsticks. The etiquette of the big family was fully displayed at this moment. The weather was getting colder, and the waterbed in Qing's room was covered with thick blankets and quilts. But Itachi hasn't changed his quilt yet, and is still using the autumn quilt. The temperature dropped in the second half of the night, and Qing felt a little cold lying in bed, covered with a quilt. What's wrong? Itachi always sleeps in a very proper manner. Feeling the movement of the person next to me, I turned my head to look at him. Qing lay on his side facing Itachi. It's a bit cold. Itachi then lay on his side and faced Qing. He squeezed himself into Qing's arms and raised his head. How about this? In fact, Itachi wanted to encircle Qing completely, but there was an age gap in height and size than Qing, so this is the only way to keep Qing warm. In fact, Qing wanted to change the quilt, but Itachi's action made him shut up. It was too close, and Qing couldn't actually see Itachi's entire face, but the way he curled up in her arms touched Qing's heart. So cute. Qing felt like she was immersed in a pink bubble. His silly smile. It's not cold anymore, it's so warm. Qing hugged Itachi's whole body, feeling Itachi's breath spraying on his chest. I placed my chin on his furry head and closed my eyes contentedly. Good night, Itachi. Itachi suppressed the throbbing in his heart and said, good night. And a little bit of loss. Although Itachi was happy with the way they were getting along now, he was a little anxious that they seemed to be more than friends but less than lovers. How adults got along with each other, he had heard and seen it. But Qing said that until he came of age, he could only stay like this. The biggest distance is probably the close contact like now, and the kiss on the forehead. Itachi was happy to be able to be intimate with Qing, but this intimacy that seemed to be on the same level as Naruto was not satisfying at all. At most it can only satisfy your craving. Qing's face greedily. I'm not a child anymore. There is also a second chapter today. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 203. Itachi's eyes swept over every part of Qing, eyebrows, eyes, and nose. Finally it fell on those tightly closed lips. Then he leaned forward and nibbled it gently and carefully with his teeth. It's like tasting some of the most delicious food in the world. After a while, she let him go, smiled contentedly, closed her eyes and fell asleep, and she was full of shyness and helplessness. He was just asleep, not unconscious. How could he not feel anything when his mouth was being bitten like that? What else could Qing say to the kid who did something bad to him in the dead of night? He couldn't bear to expose him and could only let him do it. Moreover, he believed that Itachi didn't know that he woke up in the middle of the night, her tightly, and pursed her numb lips. Qing has never been in a relationship and has devoted all his energy to his career. His first love in his previous life was a paper man, and his first kiss was given to Itachi. He knew that Itachi had feelings for him, and he also believed that Itachi was not the kind of person who would confuse family affection with love, but it would be unfair to Itachi if he were to be taken over. Now Itachi has more options. For example, in the original drama, there was the girl who made Itachi use up all his eye techniques just to grow old with her in the illusion as Itachi's only official partner. Qing had no idea how familiar they were with each other, and he couldn't ask about her private life. Therefore, if Itachi's feelings towards her remain unchanged after he turns 18, Qing has further plans. If Itachi changed his mind before that, he would still have time to return to the original distance. As for Qing himself, his emotions have always been extreme. When he likes someone, he will like them to the extreme, and once he is determined, he will give what he thinks is the best gift. It's just for the future. Now I still have a last bit of distance with Itachi. When he woke up the next day, Itachi was no longer by his side. Her lips were still a little swollen, and Naruto stared at them several times that morning. Qing told him that he was getting angry after sending Naruto to school. Qing went straight to the store wearing a custom-made warm-colored apron. She swept the fallen leaves in front of the door with a broom. After sweeping the door clean and seeing no customers coming, Qing went into the house to think about how to write the flyers. Finally, at noon, someone came. The black-haired girl outside the fence cautiously looked inside. "I want to come in, but I'm a little timid." Qing watched from inside without making any noise to disturb them long time. She turned and left. Just when she turned her back, Qing saw the Uchiha clan emblem on her back. Qing remembered who she was. Qing didn't care about the busy afternoon. After spending a leisurely morning, the afternoon suddenly became busy. Inuzuka Tsumugi walked in with several ninja dogs, and following her was Kakashi holding Puck's son yesterday. Kakashi narrowed his eyes and greeted, "Yo, welcome, Inuzuka-senpai." Kakashi-san, the large breed ninja dog, came in and sat next to Inuzuka tail, his eyes fixed on Parker, who was held in his arms. Parker arched his nose, broke free from Kakashi's hand, walked on his calves to the front of several large dogs, and sat down with his back to them. He raised his little paw towards Qing and grinned. "Hi." Kakashi said he would take me to a spa before 12 o'clock. Chapter 204. The petite Parker was stared at by several giants behind her, but she didn't show any nervousness at all. She arched her nose and continued to walk closer to Qing, then jumped onto him and urged him with a grin, "Hurry up, I can't wait any longer." Parker really likes taking a bath, especially the smell of his favorite shampoo that remains on his body after taking a bath. Seeing this, Hewan, who had been waiting quietly, looked up at his owner and saw that she had no instructions for the next step. After a brief eye contact, he walked forward with his brothers, baring his teeth. "Little bastard, you cut in line." The bare teeth were directed at Parker. Hewan first sat in front of Qing and said politely, "Hello, sir. The master is taking us to take a bath. When can we start?" "Of course, we don't mind being cut in line and waiting a little longer." The three words "cut in line" were emphasized. It's obvious who the reference is. Parker, who was this, turned around and looked at Hewan, and Hewan and his brothers looked back without wanting to be outdone to cut in line, so as Parker's master he could only take the initiative to smooth things over. "Alright, Parker, don't make things difficult for Qing. We were the ones who arrived late." "Okay, actually there's no need to queue," Qing said, picking up Parker with one hand and releasing the seal with the other. Using the multiple shadow clone technique, each shadow clone brought a ninja dog into the bathroom do both jobs at the same time, but there's one more. Of course Qing was also summoned. After hearing about this mission, he felt a little embarrassed and whispered to the main body, "I don't know how to do it." "It's not a big deal. Just stay at the counter. By the way, today's sale is 30% off." Qing smiled and made an okay gesture, "Then leave this to me." Kakashi glanced at Qing, who was communicating with his clone, and couldn't help but take another look at him. "Then I'll leave it to you, Parker." "Okay, brother, go ahead and do your work." Qing held up Parker's paw and waved to Kakashi. "Bye." Parker grinned. "Don't worry, Kakashi. Remember to come back and pick me up." Kakashi raised an eyebrow. Puck could actually cancel the summoning himself, but he didn't say anything. After Qing talked to Qing for a few words, he took Parker into the bathroom. The one he brought in was the one he used to bathe the camera yesterday. "Hey, come to think of it, the last time I saw you were still a human cub, and in the blink of an eye you have grown so big." Parker looked at Qing in an adult tone and with the eyes of an elder. "If you feel comfortable washing, I can make an exception and let you touch my meat pads while I have to work hard then." Qing was very supportive. He gave Parker the different scents of shampoo on the shelf and asked him to choose. "Try to smell it, Parker. Which scent do you like?" After Parker smelled them one by one, he fell into distress. "I like every one of them. Can't I just have all these smells on me?" Qing blinked. "It's not impossible, but it will probably produce a completely new taste." "Are you sure?" Parker imagined it, and it wasn't that good, but I like each one so much that I can't decide as a dog. Parker has a lot of facial expressions. Qing suggested, "You can use a different one every time you come, so that you can experience every flavor. How about that?" Parker thought this was a great idea. "It's decided. If you feel comfortable, let Kakashi bring me here tomorrow. Thank you for your company." Chapter 205. The pug in the small bathtub squinted its eyes, opened its mouth and let its tongue hang out. He hummed from time to time, looking like he was enjoying it. "Woo woo woo." Inuzuka Tsuma, who was about to enter the bathroom, frowned and backed out. After rinsing and taking off the gloves, Qing smiled and patted his head. "No, you are clean now. Kakashi is an incompetent master. He didn't even squeeze you. Hey. Don't say such vulgar things with that pretty face. Parker's eyes widened and his teeth bared. This matter is very private. Even the contractor wouldn't be so rude, is that so? Qing tilted his head, but if you don't clean it for a long time, it will stink. He thought about the big dogs in the bathrooms next door, and they were probably staring with their eyes wide open, looking as if their innocence was ruined, and he couldn't help but want to laugh. But he still comforted Parker. From now on, you are the most fragrant Parker. Kakashi will definitely not be able to help but hug you. Oh really? If it's Kakashi, it's not impossible. Parker raised his chin with a proud look on his face. Qing just needs to wash him again with fabric softener. After wiping it clean, he placed it in the ninjutsu formation. This is dried. It won't hurt your hair or skin. I'll pick you up when it's almost time. Oh, go ahead, go ahead. Parker enjoyed the feeling of the breeze blowing across his face. Feeling warm and comfortable and wanting to sleep, Qing walked out of the bathroom and saw Inuzuka Tsumugi standing at the door, obviously waiting for him. Sorry to have kept you waiting, Inuzuka-senpai. It's okay, no need to be so formal. Inuzuka Tsumugi waved his hand. I'll just say it straight since there's no one else here. Yesterday Arakamuru's chakra became pure after taking a bath at your place. Seeing that he looked confused, Inuzuka Tsumugi gave an easy-to-understand example. It's like upgrading from B rank to B+, or even higher. Qing really didn't know. I'm sure I just gave him a bath yesterday and didn't do anything else. Are you sure it wasn't caused by something else? Kuramaru and the others come out, but my intuition tells me that it has something to do with you. After all, Inuzuka Tsume knew a long time ago that Qing was very popular among animals. This also includes psychic beasts. When he first met him, Himaru told her without hiding anything, I want to get close to that child. To himself. He did not dare to delve into what kind of power this was. No matter what the reason was, it was disadvantageous to Qing at that time. Later, I tried to reduce contact with him as much as possible. However, the children at that time had grown up to the point where they could protect themselves. Inuzuka Tsume thought that this was no problem, and said bluntly, since your business includes summoning beasts, does that mean you are ready to expose your abilities? I have always been curious about the scope of this ability and the extent to which it can be achieved. The review failed, and a few places were changed. Thank you all for the gifts, I will keep working hard. Chapter 206. Qing, who as pointed out here, was a little helpless about her sensitivity. But this matter, sorry, senior. Qing smiled and said sorry and nothing else. Inuzuka Tsumugi didn't expect him to really tell him, well, I will figure it out myself anyway. Please be merciful. Does not include ninja beasts. At this moment, the bathroom doors opened at the same time. After completing the task, the shadow clone returned directly to the main body, and the ninja dog, whose hair was washed shiny, walked out with a somewhat shaky step. The ninja dogs, led by Kuramaru, looked at each other and remained silent. Walking in front of the host and Qing, Heiwan said, thank you for the hospitality. Inuzuka Tsume raised an eyebrow and reached out to touch Kuramaru's head. It was indeed clean to the point of being spotless, and the white part of the hair was so snow white that Inuzuka Tsume felt that Kuramaru was truly the cleaner he had ever been. It's not that it was dirty before, it was clean anyway. The hair is smooth, but unfortunately, the same changes as Akamaru are not seen in Kuramaru. Inuzuka Tsumugi thought, am I really overthinking? However, when Qing brought Parker out, Inuzuka Tsume's guess was confirmed. Although Parker's change was very slight, Inuzuka Tsume was still able to notice it because he had observed it beforehand. Maybe this ability is random? Just as Inuzuka Tsume was lost in thought, Kuramaru's head came close to her hand. What's wrong, Kuramaru? Claw, help me take off the blindfold. Heiwan felt something strange in his eyes that had been injured for many years, and he raised his head to confirm. Yes. Inuzuka Tsume took off Kuramaru's blindfold without asking any more questions. When Kuramaru opened his eyes from under the eye patch, Inuzuka Tsume was also shocked. Is this rebirth? Heiwan nodded. Yes. Why? I wouldn't? Maybe it's just a coincidence. Qing raised his palm and shook it left and right, denying it 3 times. He really didn't understand. Seeing that he didn't seem to be lying, Inuzuka Tsumugi took a deep breath and said, whatever the reason is, thank you for saving Kuramaru's eyes. Have to apologize? At this time, Parker raised his head and grinned, come again tomorrow. Qing put her hand on Parker's back and smoothed his fur. You can, but it's not necessary. All in all, this trip was very rewarding for Inazuma. In a good mood, she swept around and looted more than half of the dog supplies. He stamped his seal on the order that Qing hadn't written yet. Let the brats in the tribe come to pick up the goods later and send the money together. Qing narrowed his eyes and smiled. Senior who can deliver to your door. After seeing off Inazuma, Qing was in a good mood as he looked at the shelves that were half empty again. Within 2 days of opening, he made 2 large sums of money. The 2 big families only picked the expensive ones, and the sales volume in 2 days was almost equal to the commission of an S-level task. I think I can become the next wealthy businessman. What do you think? Qing said this to Qing, who was helping to display the goods. Qing nodded in approval. Keep going at this speed, don't stop. You can do it. Snore, Chapter 207. In the laboratory of the cave, lights flickered. An unknown body was placed on the white test bench. It was the experimental subject that Orochimaru collected in the small village that was still at war. Orochimaru held a sharp scalpel in his hand, and his pale face looked even more weird at this moment. He looked up at the lights and the base that was emitting the wailing sound. Test subject with a scroll with a sealing spell. Opening the door of the laboratory, the guarding ninja bowed respectfully when he saw him come out. Lord Orochimaru, do you have any instructions? Orochimaru was in a bad mood, not looking at him, and walked towards the training room. After a good rest, Shisui has started a new round of battle. But this time it's not against Kimimaro, but other ninjas. A group of people swarmed forward, and the only opponent was Shisui. But although they seemed to have a large number of people, in fact they had no coordination and were defeated one by Shisui. Orochimaru is not that obsessed with the Sharingan now, he is just curious at most. But Orochimaru was curious that this Uchiha could still reach this level of strength even without his eyes. Is there any difference between the body of an Uchiha without eyes and other Uchiha? However, there is no other comparison at the moment, so Orochimaru put this matter aside for the time being. He watched for a while as this motley group of guys were being played around by Shisui alone, and there was danger in his eyes when another ninja kicked away by Shisui rushed towards Orochimaru. He reached out and grabbed the ninja's neck, exerting force with his fingers. The click wasn't very loud, but it instantly quieted the originally noisy training room when they were dealing with Uchiha Shisui. Every attack they launched was completely fatal, but they knew that even though they couldn't defeat him, this Uchiha would never kill him. So there is no need to worry about losing your life. At most you will be seriously injured and need to lie down for a few days before you can start all over again. Everyone stopped what they were doing, and stood still, looking at Orochimaru in a cold sweat. After realizing what was happening, he immediately knelt on the ground in submission. Lord Orochimaru. Shisui knew what had happened from the sound just now, but he just frowned slightly and didn't say much. Orochimaru had a gloomy face and a hoarse voice. I don't need trash here. This is the fate of losing so badly. He loosened his grip, and the lifeless ninja slumped to the ground. Someone came immediately to pick up the items and take them away, and it was obvious that they were very experienced in handling such matters. Continue. Tremblingly, take out his weapon and stare at Shisui. Shisui put away the Kusanagi sword. I'm tired. I won't fight anymore. As he said this, he sat on the ground in front, looking like he was taking a rest. The ninjas looked at each other, not knowing what to do for a moment, but they all saw the feeling of surviving a disaster in each other's eyes. There is absolutely no way they could defeat Uchiha Shisui. Be too ugly and they will just die anyway at this time. Uchiha Shisui took the initiative to stop, which undoubtedly gave them a chance to survive. Someone wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to launch a sneak attack, but the next moment the kunai stopped at his neck. If it was closer, it would have cut the aorta immediately. I told you, I'm tired, take a rest. Shisui said with a sullen face. Yes, I'm sorry. The ninja who failed in his sneak attack was shaking all over. Orochimaru chuckled at the change, full of irony. Tomorrow is Friday. Chapter 208. What Orochimaru couldn't stand the most was the hypocritical kindness taught by the third generation. Qing's kindness seemed ridiculous in his eyes, but it didn't strike Orochimaru as hypocritical. But their relationship is just mutually beneficial, and each gets what it needs. The cells in Qing's blood have enabled Orochimaru to achieve unprecedented breakthroughs in scientific research. He was so addicted to it that he hadn't left the cave for a long time. Also because it lasted longer than usual, important experimental materials ran out. There has indeed been no news from Qing recently, and Orochimaru is getting impatient, so he planned to go back in person, As for the Uchiha blind man that Qing had left here, Orochimaru took out a few scrolls and threw them to Uchiha Shisui. I don't keep idle people here. Shisui didn't react for a moment. What? The deal that Lord Quink and I made was to give you a place to stay, but the rest isn't free. Although Orochimaru is very wealthy, the money he spends to maintain the experiments is not small. It's fine if the other experimental subjects were brought back by myself, but the ones that Qing placed here require payment. For example, Uzumaki Karin, who has been out for a month. Of course, you can also choose to leave now. Orochimaru smiled and said, given my friendship with Iechi Qing, I don't care about your recent consumption here. Shisui. As the strongest fighter of the Uchiha clan, Shisui enjoys very good benefits in the clan, and the amount of money he saves from each mission is not small. If it were before, he would have been able to afford the accommodation fee, but now, all his property was placed in the Uchiha, and he was penniless. He really wanted to leave here immediately, but he had nowhere else to go. It was even more impossible to return to Konoha in the current awkward situation. So now he could only compromise. I understand. Shisui clenched the scroll in his hand. I'll get ready and leave. I will not be in the base for this period of time. You can do whatever you want. After saying this, Orochimaru did not stay any longer. Shiro caught up to Shisui. Shisui-kun, your partners for this mission are Kimimaro and I, Kin. We meet in the training room in an hour, okay? The mission this time was just to collect herbs. But collecting herbs is really disadvantageous for him now. He can sense enemies lurking around him, but he can't see what the grass looks like at his feet. After an hour, the three of them gathered in the training room, and under the guidance of the two, Shisui took many twists and turns before reaching the exit. Kimimaro was a man of few words, and he said less than 10 words in total along the way. Bai held the scroll and explained to Shisui in detail the content of the mission, as well as the extra income he and Kimimaro would make. Shisui, bounty mission. Yes, after all, we will leave here eventually, so we need to save some for later. Speaking of leaving, Bai's face was filled with longing. I have always been looking forward to the day when I can live with Mr. Chi. Yes. Kimimaro, who had been silent all this time, suddenly agreed. Speaking of living with Qing, to be honest, Shisui is also looking forward to it. Konoha, Hokage's office. Danzo stood in front of the third Hokage with a gloomy face. He has now colluded with the evil Uchiha. A few years ago, I asked you to send him to the root, but you softened your heart because you thought he was the only brother left by Minato. Danzo slammed his hand on the Sandame's desk. If he dares to hook up with the Uchiha now, he will dare to rebel with the Uchiha later. Awaited. Chapter 209. Sarutobi arose and looked at his old friend in front of him, his gloomy face becoming more and more unfamiliar. I don't know since when, the only thing between them is interests. Orochimaru's most proud disciple, Sarutobi Hiruzen's face changed slightly. They are different. Qing is Minato's important brother, and now he has made great achievements. It is not easy for you and I to deal with him. Danzo gritted his teeth. He got angry when talking about this. The third Hokage had given him all his achievements one by one. Sooner or later, Konoha will be destroyed by your weakness. Looking at the departing Danzo, fatigue appeared on Sarutobi's face. Although other countries have signed a peace agreement with Konoha, they are still eyeing Konoha. It would not be a good choice to declare war on Uchiha at this time. Itachi. Sarutobi called out. The boy wearing the Anbu mask lowered his head and knelt on one knee in front of Sarutobi. Here, what do you think about war? Sarutobi looked at the Uchiha in front of him, examining him, paused before answering truthfully, I hate war. The disgust in his tone was apparent to Sarutobi. After receiving a satisfactory answer, Sarutobi's eyes turned into one of kindness towards his junior. Got it. He gave Itachi a mission scroll. I'm very sorry about Shisui. This matter is still under investigation. I will give you a reasonable explanation. The bond between Shisui and Itachi was never a secret. Itachi was confused at first, but then he realized, thank you, because Itachi's expression could not be seen through the mask. That momentary pause seemed to the third Hokage like Itachi's tribute to his friend. You are all important members of Konoha. Sarutobi walked around the table, helped Itachi up, and patted his shoulder. Go down. Yes, on the other side, Orochimaru set out from the base and reached the border of the Land of Fire in less than a day. Place. Secretly laughing at Konoha's defenses. Using the transformation technique, he transformed himself into an ordinary traveler and walked around in the most crowded places. He hadn't been back to Konoha for a long time, and the atmosphere here still made him hate it and want to destroy it. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes slightly when he saw the Uchiha running towards him in the distance. Were the Uchiha guards discovered so quickly? Just as I was about to turn around, I heard a noise behind me. Several Uchiha passed by him. Orochimaru raised the corner of his mouth and continued walking forward. He walked around the street for a few times, and was suddenly blocked by someone. A slender white hand appeared in his sight. "Sir, do you want to know about the pet shop? Our shop has just opened. With this flyer, you can enjoy a 50% discount on bathing." Orochimaru. The familiar voice made him look up, and what he saw was indeed Qing's familiar face. "But the one in front of me seems different from usual." Orochimaru took it and said with a smile, "Can snakes be washed?" Of course, seeing that the person in front of him was about to become a customer, Qing smiled wider. "The store has professional equipment to provide absolutely comfortable service for your pet snake." Little snake. Orochimaru thought of Manda. It would definitely be a waste of resources for Orochimaru for Qing to open a pet shop. "I was outside and caught up today with it. I wanted to vomit while I was in the car. I will make up for it tomorrow. I'm just crying now." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 210. Orochimaru discovered that he was surprisingly patient with the chattering boy in front of him. "Is it true that rare things are valuable? I think you look kind, sir. If you come to our store today, you can enjoy a free bathing experience for your pet." The kind-looking Orochimaru. He usually doesn't laugh easily unless he can't help it. "Then please lead the way, little friend." Seeing that he finally got a response after saying so much, Qing secretly breathed a sigh of relief and smiled widely. "Thank you for your support, please follow me." He was assigned to distribute flyers today, and at first many people paid attention to him. After all, Qing is very famous in the village. However, this made his war completely unsuccessful. "It's almost noon now, and I haven't even brought a single customer. 100 flyers should have been distributed within an hour, right? Why hasn't he come back yet?" I suddenly felt worried. After all, although Qing shared his own cognition, he had essentially lived in this world for less than 6 years. When I was thinking about going to look for him, I saw him coming back with someone behind him. Qing's eyes fell on the intact stack of flyers and his eyebrows raised. He seemed to have overlooked and forgotten to tell Qing that when distributing flyers, all you have to do is hand them out and let people take them over, instead of having to bring customers back. Seeing the joy on the face of the man who looked just like him because he had successfully brought back a customer, Qing decided not to tell him about it for now. "Qing, this gentleman is here to experience bathing his pet." Qing led the person to Qing. "Welcome." Qing saw that the guest he brought in was wearing a bamboo hat and couldn't see his face clearly, but he felt familiar with him. "Sorry, please wait a moment." Qing couldn't help but touch Qi's head lovingly. "Thank you for your hard work, Qi. Leave the rest to me, you take a rest first." Qi and Qing, this is how they call each other. Qi shook his head. "I haven't completed the task yet." He raised the flyers in his hand that had not decreased in the slightest. "Read it themselves." Qing used another way to tell him the correct way to hand out flyers. Qi blinked. "Is this okay?" Although the new task content was much easier. "No problem, come back early after sending it." Orochimaru watched Qing communicating with his clone with great interest. It was a very strange feeling. But I can't say what's strange about it. Qi nodded in agreement and said to the guest he brought back, "I'm going to get busy now." "Sir, please feel busy, free to do what you want." Orochimaru didn't say anything, but nodded to indicate that he understood. After everyone walked away, only Qing and Orochimaru were left. Qing looked at the guest wearing a bamboo hat, and when he raised his chin slightly, he could see the face underneath the hat clearly. It was a face that people would forget after seeing it. The kind that you can't find in a crowd. And that familiar feeling probably meant it was someone I knew wanted to have a bathing experience with today. Orochimaru raised his hand, and a slender black snake slid out from his sleeve. Seeing the snake, Qing was speechless. "Uncle Snake, as a trader, is it really appropriate for you to come back in such a high profile?" Chapter 211. Orochimaru was not surprised to be recognized. He chuckled and pulled off his hat. The face still maintained that unrememberable look. but the voice returned to the one that Qing was familiar with. Orochimaru's low voice was full of sarcasm. I am familiar with Konoha. If he wanted to come in when Minato was still here, he might have to work harder. Konoha has not yet recovered from the war, and those old guys are unwilling to give in to each other, so there will always be loopholes in guarding. Orochimaru looked around the place, and the corners of his mouth turned up into a straight line without amplitude. His eyes fell on Qing, who is already playing with his snake. What is it about Konoha that you like? My family is here. Qing replied with a smile. Uncle Snake, please do as you please. I will take the little snake to take a bath. Qing took Orochimaru's snake to the number 3 bathroom, where the temperature was higher than in the other bathrooms. Uncle Snake, you can come in and take a look if you want. Family? This word is too old for Orochimaru. Orochimaru was not interested in washing a snake, but he didn't expect Qing to actually wash a snake casually. The variety is indeed complete, and there is also food for snakes. Even if you buy all of this place, it won't be enough for once. Going out from the back door leads to the backyard, where there is a big hole dug, which I don't understand. Orochimaru walked back and sat down on the sofa behind the counter. Orochimaru, who was completely trapped, said, I have never sat on a sofa like this in all my years. Is this popular now? For a moment, Orochimaru wondered if he was out of touch with society. The door was pushed open and the wind chimes above rang. Hello. It was the girl's timid voice. Orochimaru subconsciously hid himself. Is there no one here? The girl was a little distressed, not knowing whether to leave or stay. Uncle Snake, there are guests coming. Can you please help me receive them? I can't leave now. Qing's voice came from inside counter. The girl was startled by the sudden appearance of the person and took a few steps back. Orochimaru stared at her, the corner of his mouth raised. Welcome, Uchiha. The hoarse and gloomy voice made the girl shudder. No, sorry to bother you. At this moment, Uchiha Izumi felt like being stared at by a snake. If the manager is not available, I'll come next time. After saying this, she turned and left. That person was too weird. He looked ordinary and would be forgotten in a crowd, but he gave her a particularly dangerous feeling. Her instinct told her not to stay any longer. When Orochimaru considered the consequences of taking an Uchiha away here, it didn't matter what happened. But it would be a pity if Qing's cooperation with me was severed because of this incident. Orochimaru knew that Qing had a good relationship with Uchiha, was steaming all over after a comfortable spa, and was now coiled on Qing's arm. Seeing that Orochimaru was the only one there, Qing tilted her head and asked, have the guests left? Oh, he ran away after seeing me. Orochimaru hissed. Qing pointed and said, why are you still bullying little girls at your age? Time. He took out 2 syringes and asked, do it yourself or do you want me to do it for you? Woo. Woo woo. There are fewer and fewer people. I'm trying hard not to slack off. My problem is serious. Chapter 212. Qing looked at the small syringe in Orochimaru's hand and heard his tone, and suddenly felt as if the person in front of him was forcing him to commit suicide. There's no need to trouble Uncle Snake to do this kind of thing himself. He took the syringe and clenched his fist with his palm facing up. The blood vessels on the arms are clearly visible because of the fair skin. Qing quickly inserted the needle into the blood vessel. Soon, 2 small tubes of fresh blood were placed in Orochimaru's palm. The blood cooled down after leaving the blood vessels, but Orochimaru felt a slight burning sensation in the palm of his hand. He took out the scroll and sealed it to ensure its freshness. He also scanned the snake's supplies on the shelf and put them into another scroll. Konoha, you're always welcome here. Thank you, Uncle Snake. Welcome to come again next time. Qing narrowed his eyes, smiled and waved goodbye enthusiastically, holding the heavy piece of gold in his arms. I have grown up and lived for so many years, but this is not the first time I have seen such a big piece of gold. But this is the first time that such a large amount of gold belongs to me. It turns out that people who do scientific research are very rich. Qing touched the slightly uneven gold surface. It has not been polished, it is pure natural, is already thinking about using this to make a golden lock for Naruto. It must look great. When I came back, Orochimaru had been gone for quite some time. He immediately saw the large piece of gold in Qing's hand, and his mouth opened slightly. You, where did this come from? The gentleman you brought back bought a lot of things. This is what he gave me. Qing sat behind the counter with her cheeks in her hands. Qi came over and weighed it in his hand, but this weight can buy your entire store, right? Qing, almost. I want to use this to make a safety lock for Mingbao. Do you want one too? Chi was very supportive of the first part, but he was a little confused by the second part. I am 15 years old now, not 5. He finally realized that Qing had always treated him like a child. Besides, it's not necessary. After saying that, he showed an indifferent smile. Mission accomplished, I'm going back. After saying that, he turned into smoke and disappeared on the spot. Qing felt lonely, which was Kai's typical mood. Qing felt that he wanted to stay, but he didn't dare to have too high expectations before finding the perfect method at this moment. Qing really hopes that Uncle Shi's research can make progress. The inheritance belonging to the Qi family was lost in the previous generation, so I couldn't explain clearly what happened between Akamaru and Kiramu last time. Now that he had some free time again, Qing took out a pen and paper and drew a draft of the piece lock. Gold is the most popular and tacky thing in any world. It can be used as an ordinary ornament when not in use, and can also be used to solve urgent needs when necessary. Before I knew it, it was already evening. Qing raised his head and saw the boy and girl almost reaching the door. His eyes fell on the girl next to Itachi. Long black hair, teardrop moles under the corners of the eyes, and the Uchiha clothing on her body. Daring to come in. Is it because you have Itachi as your companion that you feel brave enough to come in? Itachi lowered his head slightly as if to say something, and the girl's face was filled with shyness and excitement. Seeing this scene, Qing suddenly felt a little dazzling. I'm jealous. Thank you all for the gifts. Chapter 213. After Itachi finished talking to Uchiha Izumi beside him, he looked straight ahead and met Qing's eyes. The sight of Qing frowning slightly made him stunned for a moment, and his heart skipped a beat for no reason. He quickened his pace, leaving Uchiha Izumi behind, and pushed open the door. The wind chimes on the door made a crisp ding-ling sound. When he looked over again, Qing had returned to his normal state, as if what he had just seen was an illusion. Welcome. Qing smiled. His eyes stayed on Itachi's face for a second before falling on the girl behind him. It's rare for Itachi to bring his friends to my place. Hello. No matter how many times he saw Qing's face, Uchiha-kwan would always be amazed. I asked Itachi to accompany me. She had always wanted to come in and take a look, but she would be nervous to be alone. I want to come here with my sisters in the tribe, but our schedules don't match. It was common knowledge in Konoha that Qing and Itachi had a good relationship. Uchiha Izumi asked Itachi to accompany him after he met him by chance in the clan. I've seen you stop at the door several times. I'm glad you came in. Qing half knelt in front of Uchiha-kwan and looked at her at eye level. Is there anything I can help you with? The gentle smile was as warm as the sun, and the beauty up close made Uchiha Izumi blush and lower his head. Thank you, I have a cat at home. Qing, okay, please follow me. When they reached the other side, Qing introduced the products to Uchiha Izumi and also shared some little-known facts. Uchiha Izumi was nervous at first, but he was soon brought into Qing's rhythm and listened attentively. Take the initiative to ask questions from time to time. As for Itachi, except for the first glance, he was ignored throughout the whole process. This feeling made him feel uncomfortable. There were some things he wanted to say to Qing after Quan left. Thank you, Mr. Qi. I will come again. Uchiha Izumi was in a good mood. Thank you so much for accompanying me. The rest of the words were said to Itachi. Qing's smile remained the same. You are welcome anytime. I finally waited for Quan, who had purchased a lot of things and was ready to leave. Itachi was pushed out to take Izumi home. The reason is, Qing said, how can you let a girl carry so many things back alone? This is not what a qualified gentleman should do. Then he was pushed out by Qing. Looking at Qing, who was waving at them with a smile, Itachi felt more and more uneasy. It wouldn't take much time to go back and forth like this. Itachi took the 2 large bags from Quan and said, I'll take them back to your house first. Then it disappeared on the spot. Uchiha Izumi. If she understood correctly, Boss Kai's original intention was to let Itachi accompany her back. But after so many years, Izumi had long realized that Itachi had no such intentions towards her. On the contrary, it is to Boss Chi. After the girl's shopping brain calmed down, she suddenly recalled the details of what had just happened. Boss Chi is really gentle, and Itachi's gaze towards them is really burning. Uchiha Izumi touched his chin, feeling like he had discovered something. I touched my heart and didn't feel sad. It seemed that I had really let it go, and if the other party is Boss Chi, Uchiha-kwan feels that Itachi is unworthy. Where have they progressed? By the way, wasn't there a rumor about Boss Chi and the late brother Shisui before? Love triangle. On the way back, before we were halfway there, we saw Itachi turning back. Unable to hold back, Uchiha Izumi shouted towards Itachi's back. Itachi, come on. Chapter 214. It only took Itachi 2 or 3 minutes to go back and forth. Qing was about to lock the door when he ran head-on into panting Itachi. As he stepped out of the shop, he is very susceptible to this now, of course, on the premise that this person is Itachi. Qing took Itachi's hand and walked back. How could that be? I just came out to bask in the sun. How could I hide from you? Itachi really loves to daydream. Itachi glanced at the key in his hand, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly. I'm sorry, I misunderstood, brother. Itachi felt the hand holding his tighten and suddenly knew Qing's XP points. He called out again tentatively, brother, I'm here. They were only 2 or 3 steps away from the store. Because of the call of brother, Qing even forgot to let go of his hand and led him all the way to sit on the sofa behind the counter. Because Itachi was caught off guard and too soft, he fell on Qing. They were so close that their breaths were entangled together. It's not that we haven't been this close before, but the atmosphere wasn't this ambiguous before. Everything happened so unexpectedly that both of them were stunned. After all, Qing was an adult who had seen the world, so he was the first to react. He placed his palm on Itachi's chest and pushed up. Anyway, you get up first. Sorry. Still in his youth, Itachi's ears turned red and he stood up by supporting himself on the edge of the sofa. His heartbeat quickened, and when he saw Qing's collar was a little loose, his hand slipped and he fell on Qing again. They bumped into each other face to face. The collision of teeth made both of them grin. Qing felt the taste of rust, and his mouth was probably broken. She left the sofa in a somewhat embarrassed manner, then squatted beside Qing and held his face. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. Are you okay? Qing raised his eyes and saw Itachi's broken lip. He reached out to wipe the blood off Itachi's lip and grinned. I'm fine, you never have to apologize to me. These words exploded in Itachi's heart, and he unconsciously stretched out his tongue to lick the place that had just been touched. The eyeballs without the Sharingan activated were slightly red. Itachi leaned down and slowly moved towards Qing when there was only a thin line of distance left, and they were about to touch each other. Ding-ling. The door was pushed open. Uncle. I'm back, Naruto's voice sounded. There were other footsteps following behind me, and there were quite a few people. Huh? Uncle isn't here. Naruto looked around and saw no one, so he ran towards the counter. Qing stood up from behind the counter. His appearance had long since returned to normal, except for an ambiguous scowl on his lips. Here. Welcome back. He saw a group of girls following behind Naruto. Are these your classmates? Hello, sorry to bother you. The little girls greeted in unison and looked at Qing excitedly. I could only watch from afar before, but now I can finally get close to it. Naruto's uncle is so handsome. Super handsome. You're welcome. You can play as you please. Yes. And the students from the next class said they wanted to come to our store, so I brought them here. Naruto happily rushed over and hugged Qing's waist. What was the little uncle doing just now? Something fell down. I was looking for it just now and I found it. Qing gently stroked Naruto's head. Uncle. Naruto's eyes fell on Qing's mouth. Are you hurt? No, I'm just angry. Guess where the weasel went. Chapter 215. Although it was just a small wound, Naruto felt heartbroken when he saw it. Naruto stretched out his hands to his uncle, held his face, and blew gently. Who, blow on your uncle and it won't hurt. Qing was touched by such cute behavior. The heart feels like it's been pierced by a beam of love. Ming baby, you are really my angel baby. With Mingbao blowing on me, Naruto chuckled as his face was rubbed. The girls who were actually watching them secretly while walking around the store widened their eyes at the interaction between the two. I'm so envious. Someone said this unconsciously. This voice immediately attracted a lot of resonance. Most of their parents are ninjas, which means they are very busy most of the time. We were able to get along so intimately only when we were younger. Naruto's identity was no secret in Konoha, but at first everyone stayed away from him because of his parents' instructions. But Sasuke, Hinata, Shikamaru and others are too conspicuous, and are also the people their parents asked them to be friends with. Naruto is good friends with them and is protected by them. At first I didn't understand why, but then Naruto's performance was just too good. Even the genius who was ranked first together with Uchiha Sasuke was soon attracted to the attention. His personality, which is completely different from Sasuke's, is becoming more and more noticeable. After trying to get along with him for a long time, I realized what a good person Naruto is. Some of them had once been among those who rejected Naruto, and had even belittled him to his face. But when they apologized to Naruto, he forgave them with a smile and became friends with them regardless of the past dark personality. Sad, inferior, dare not raise your head, or hate who has scolded you. But Naruto didn't. He was now better than any one of their peers. Maybe it's because there is such a person who loves Naruto so unreservedly. Naruto blushed a little when he noticed that his classmates were all looking at him, but he was reluctant to let go of his uncle. Qing kissed him on the face before putting him on the ground. I'll leave it to Mingbao to entertain the little classmates. Well, just leave it to me. Naruto puffed out his chest and patted it. Qing sat on a high chair behind the counter, propping up her face and watching the interactions between the cute children. The clothes on the chest moved, and then a black furry head popped out. His eyes were fixed on Qing. It's like an accusation. How could I resist sucking when a kitten looked at me like that? Not to mention that this little kitten is the one I like. Qing picked him up and buried her face in the kitten's soft belly, and the scene replayed itself. Itachi was obviously getting used to it since it wasn't his first time. The little paw patted his head calmly. Hey little kitty, so cute. Qing sucked it and forgot himself, smacking it a few times all the way up the furry forehead, nose, eyes and mouth. Uncle. Naruto returned to Qing without knowing when, staring at him blankly with wide eyes. This is the new member of our family, can I hug him? Chapter 216. Naruto would never question what Qing said. It was a bit regretful. He looked up at the kitten and said, "Hello, kitten. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and I'm your brother." The cute words brought a smile to Qing's eyes. Since he is a new family member, Naruto naturally puts himself in the position of an older brother. I will try my best to take care of you. Uncle. Naruto grinned. Seeing Naruto's efforts, Qing suddenly felt guilty. Of course Itachi knew how important Naruto was to Qing. The thing that Qing values the most is his family, and after the loss of his brother and sister-in-law, both he and Shisui saw clearly that Qing put all of his family affection into Naruto at the little cat in his hands, which was looking up at him. He saw the emotion in the little cat's round eyes, and his guilty conscience became even worse. He coaxed two babies with just a few casual words. He is such a sinful man. After sending the girls away, Qing closed the shop and prepared to go home. Lie. You will need thousands of lies to cover up the original lie. Qing had already thought of a solution to this problem, he said. In fact, cats like freedom. Although we have him, we cannot confine him to us. Of course, the premise of free range is to ensure that his range of activities is safe. Naruto nodded in understanding, just a little bit sad that the time he had to spend with his brother was shortened, perhaps because of the appearance of Qing and the instigation of the butterfly effect. Sasuke is not as clingy to his brother as in the original work. Of course, the admiration for my brother is still there. Perhaps it is because Sasuke now has a bunch of friends since he was a child, and they can improve together while playing together. So my father didn't say anything about this. The most important thing is that I don't know if it's my illusion recently, but my father has paid more attention to me than before. Perhaps when he was younger, he would have been happy with his father's attention, as for now, he even felt a little annoyed. When Sasuke heard Itachi coming back, he ran down from upstairs and his eyes first fell on the marks on his mouth. I'm back, Sasuke. Itachi was in a good mood. Sit at the entrance and change your shoes. Responsibility of succession on Sasuke. Sasuke is no longer the kid who always wanted his father's affirmation when he was a child. He has always assumed that the next head of the Uchiha clan is his elder brother. I have no interest in being an heir. Itachi knew what his brother was thinking. He thought his father could divert his attention to him, and it was not impossible to sacrifice Sasuke appropriately when you were a child, so he has been keeping an eye on you recently. Sasuke frowned. I am not a child anymore. I don't need my father's love. Just think of it as fulfilling your father's dream and bear with it. Itachi touched Sasuke's head. Maybe he will get tired of it after a while. Although Sasuke was not happy, he had to endure it because of his father's old age. I will try my best today and update later. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 217. In most families with children, when adults want to talk, they always have to wait until the children are asleep and it is late at night. For example, Qing's family is one of them. After putting Naruto to sleep, he quietly left for the next room. Sitting on the bed, Qing suddenly had the feeling that he had secretly found his stepmother without telling his own child, and had a private meeting with her while the child was asleep. Coughed dryly because of his improper imagination. Ahem, how about you consider coming in through the main door next time? Qing shook off the quilt and looked at Itachi. After holding it in for a long time, Itachi finally spoke. Uchiha Izumi and I are just ordinary friends, PFFT. Qing couldn't help laughing. Sorry, I didn't mean it. This laugh made Itachi blush. It turned out that he was just being too sentimental negative when he was with Qing. Qing took his hand away, held Itachi's head and put it close to him. I am really jealous when I see you with her. But it was only a matter of a moment, because Qing knew Itachi's feelings for him. Uchiha Izumi was supposed to be Itachi's official partner, and now Itachi has been snatched away by him, and he feels a little guilty. That's why I was so enthusiastic towards her today, just to make up for it a little. Itachi's heart was numb. I will keep my distance from her in the future. Qing sighed. You make me look petty, but I'm not a child. I won't let you drive people away just because I'm unhappy. Itachi said nothing. I kind of regret what I said before. Itachi's brain went numb and his heart suddenly jumped up. What did you say? Did he regret it? That, I will explain it clearly to that person. Qing looked at the love in Itachi's eyes and said, I changed my mind. Itachi widened his eyes. He was originally waiting for Qing's judgment, but he saw the emotion in Qing's eyes, which was directed at himself. My heart was pounding as I looked forward to his next words, infinitely amplified. Grow up quickly, Itachi. The words sounded like a sigh, but Itachi could hear the expectation in them. It is good. Itachi's voice was still a little childish, but the serious tone struck Qing's heart. The next day at school, when Sasuke arrived at the classroom, he saw many people gathered around Naruto, discussing something heat. Sasuke took his seat and put his bag away before answering him. Why are you asking this? My uncle got in, his mouth was broken. Naruto pointed to his mouth, right here. Sasuke remembered a similar wound he saw on his brother's mouth last night. He looked at Naruto for a long time, and after a long while, he patted his head and said, Don't angry meddle in the affairs of adults. Brother Qing knows how to calm down. Sasuke is so mean. You don't feel sorry for him even though he's not your uncle, huh? Naruto crossed his arms and snorted at him angrily. Sasuke didn't want to pay attention to Naruto now and lay on the table to catch up on his sleep. His father's sudden concern gave him nightmares last night and he couldn't sleep well. Extended second update. Chapter 218. Today, the third Hokage received a letter of visit from the fourth Kazekage of the Sand Village. Looking at the letter stating the desire to visit Konoha, Sarutobi felt there was some conspiracy. What do you think? After all, the matter of the Kazekage's visit could be a big deal or a small one, so Sarutobi asked his subordinates to participate in the discussion. Although a peace agreement has been signed, the Sand Village is unwilling to accept Konoha. There is nothing worthy of the Kazekage's personal visit at the moment. There must be a conspiracy, please. Reject the request, Hokage-sama. Tisk. Why not just strengthen the defense on the day of the visit? The Uchiha is ready to make a move again. Kazekage would not be in the village to handle official business and guard the hidden village. If you leave without permission when the enemy is watching closely, it will be very easy for your home to be robbed. Sarutobi looked at Kakashi, who had left him out of the matter. Kakashi, what do you think? Kakashi, who had been looking around, came back to his senses after being called out, scratching his hair and said, I think it might not be that complicated. Oh? Tell me about it. Sarutobi narrowed his eyes. Seeing that everyone's eyes were on him, Kakashi shook himself and said, Isn't Qing exchanging letters with the son of the Kazekage? Is it possible that the son of the Kazekage wants to come? Of course Sarutobi knew that Qing was good friends with the Kazekage's youngest son. After all, it was he who sent the person over personally. It was with his tacit consent that they maintained correspondence over the past few years. On second thought, it doesn't seem impossible, but others found this reason ridiculous. What a hassle. Narashikaku, who pretended to be invisible, spoke up when he saw that it was almost lunchtime. The letter didn't say that Kazekage-sama was coming to visit in person. Indeed, the letter only mentioned that the Sand Village was visiting Konoha, and did not mention that he himself would be coming. Why not just reply, we will receive the envoy well? Narashikaku looked unmotivated, but he easily solved the problem with just one sentence. Konoha is the leader of the 5 major nations and has the authority to specifically allow envoys from other villages to come. I believe Fengying will know what to do after reading this. Sarutobi's eyes were smiling. I'll leave the reply to you, Shikaku. When the time comes, step up the defense and patrols. Nara Shikaku, yes. Be decided then. As he said this, his eyes fell on Kakashi, but the one who is the most idle at the moment is indeed Kakashi after all. He had demoted this class of graduates during the final assessment. The hidden sand village. The 4th Kazakage looked with a headache at his youngest son, who made him a little afraid. Although Gaara is still very small, his presence is so strong sitting there you can't ignore it. Gaara. Fengying's forehead twitched softly. I said I would let you know if there is a reply. Gaara opened his eyes and looked at his father before closing them again. Just pretend you didn't hear it. The veins on Fengying's forehead bulged, and he glanced at his subordinates beside him. The subordinates understood and left quietly. Soon, there was a knock on the office door. It's Temari. Fengying. Come in. Sorry to bother you, father. Since there were no outsiders around, Temari called her father directly. The long-lost Gaara pops up. Chapter 219. When he saw Temari coming in, the Kazakage raised his chin. Temari knew why her father called her here. After all, this kind of thing had happened quite often in the past few days. After she entered the room and greeted her father, she walked straight to Gaara, squatted in front of him and coaxed him. The letter was just delivered to Konoha today. It will take at least 3 or 4 days to reply. Let's go back and wait. Still gave face to this sister who had eyes and eyebrows similar to his mother. He nodded, glaring at the Kazakage before leaving. She seemed dissatisfied with him for calling Temari. This kind of thing has been happening every day recently. Ever since Gaara proposed going to Konoha away today, I will be waiting at the Kazakage building on time tomorrow. This person comes more diligently than his father, the 4th Kazakage. After leading Gaara out of the building, Temari looked at Gaara with emotions on his face. Father won't not tell you if you reply to the letter. I don't believe him. Gaara said with a cold face. Go to Konoha. Temari sighed, and when she saw Gaara frowning, she didn't say anything else. After taking Gaara home, Kankuro came out of the room, all dirty and yawning. Good morning. Gaara passed him and sat on the chair by the window to read a book. Temari and Kankuro looked at each other, shrugged, and went to make breakfast. A few years ago, after Yoshamaru's assassination attempt on Gaara failed, Gaara was brought in to live with the 3 siblings at Temari's request. Fortunately, thanks to Temari's arrival, Gaara did not kill Yoshamaru, but only seriously injured him. After that, he never appeared in front of Gaara again. Perhaps the blow that Yoshamaru dealt him was too great. Gaara has become increasingly silent in recent years, but when he was about to lock himself up, he received a letter from Qing. That was the first time Gaara received a letter from Qing after he said goodbye to him in a state of rage. He instinctively wanted to tear it up, subconsciously thinking that it was a fake letter written by his father to appease him. However, there was still Qing's unique aura lingering on it, which allowed him to calm down successfully. Shukaku, who was at the peak of excitement due to his recent blood stain, also calmed down. Gaara opened the letter tremblingly. It was a whole page filled with dense writing, but Gaara didn't recognize many of the words. It was not smooth to read it, so I had to ask Temari to help me finish it. The letter greeted Gaara, asking him how he was doing recently, whether he ate well, slept well, and whether he got along well with his brother and sister. They were all very ordinary words, but every word healed Gaara's heart. In order to be able to understand Qing's letter, Gaara worked harder to learn to read. After that, a letter would be delivered every year, but Qing's position was uncertain, so he had to keep his reply to himself. This year, Gaara received a letter from Qing saying that he would return to Konoha. However, I heard some time ago that Qing opened a shop in Konoha. If this request fails, he can only wait for another 6 years, until the Chunin exams at Konoha. 6 years later, he had a lot to say to Qing, wanted to see Qing, and missed him very much. I want to hand over the letter I wrote to Qing personally. Thanks for your support. Period. Period. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Period. Period. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like, Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.